Where will the bill go? I'm not sure. We're going down to meet with the Native Americans for a second time down there to see if we can get more of their input on it. We've done town hall meetings down there. We've done a lot of things to try to bring the group together. Here's what I fear. If we can't get a bill through because the sides are so far apart, then we are dependent on one of two things to happen. One is a new president to come along and change the boundaries again. Well, there's nothing to say that couldn't happen, and there's nothing to say another president couldn't follow him and change them again. It's an executive whiplash. It's a bad idea. It's a terrible way, right? There's no certainty at all. So I think that's a really bad idea. The other idea is a lot of people would like to wait until the lawsuits are settled. A lot of people are suing President Trump's action. That's a bad idea because that's a decade-long process for those lawsuits to be settled, and then who knows which way they're going to go when they're settled. So I believe the best answer is congressional action. The question is, can we come up with a bill that can bring these very, very diverse and far apart sides together so that they'll support that bill?
Just one more question. You did go down and talk to the tribes, and there was a lot of misinformation back and forth for the past year on that. Can you give us a general idea of how the tribes feel about it?
Yes. The tribes are in that category where I'm hesitant to speak for them. So
right. I don't want you to have to get too specific. Right.
The tribes are, this is my opinion, are in a place where they're so unhappy about President Trump's changing it that they just can't accept anything unless we go back to President Obama's. And that's made it, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's made it hard to get them at the table to talk about my bill.
Okay.
I will tell you that Emory County is in a very different place. Emory County has been working for years with all the different stakeholders to come to a consensus on what would be good public land use in the county. And we're hoping to put a bill in the not too distant future that would bring all of those groups together. Not 100%. I'm still going to, Frank, you're going to have some people out here who aren't going to agree with it, but much agreement on how to handle that land so that we're protecting it. The ranchers can still graze. The people who like it for recreational uses still have access to it for recreational uses. It's a much better process and a much better bill because it's gone through years and years of this. Now, my predecessors tried to do that in San Juan County with what's called the Public Lands Initiative. So the efforts have been made, but my experience is that these groups are taking positions. I call it, they give me an equation that can't be solved. So I'll sit down with one and say, okay, how about this? And they'll say, well, I'll only agree to that if this happens. Mm-hmm. That little qualification means that somebody else just got right, that won't agree to it. And so every one of them has their conditions that pushes everybody else out. So that's where
thank you.
92% of the land owned in San Juan County is owned by the federal government. You can see if you're a government that is dependent primarily on property tax, they do get payment in lieu of taxes, but it's a fraction of what they would get if that were in private hands. It is very hard for them to build roads and do their schools and things down there because of this 92% equation. And over the years, it's caused a lot of angst. All right, immigration. Do you want to go immigration? Or do you have some?
I just want to talk about education, but if if that can come in sometime, I'd appreciate that.
Let's go ahead. What's your question?
It's really just a general question. I mean, the Department of Ed, from the federal level, and how do you feel about that, and what's going on? I mean, of course, the issue of guns and what's happened is on the front burner, which I am an educator, so I that's a concern. But so is education in general, of course, and I just want to know what's going on. What you see, what you hear, what you think.
To be honest, I haven't heard or seen a lot, but I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
It's kind of this period of time like where we've got these issues that are taking all the oxygen in the room, if that makes sense. Yes. And immigration is one of them, tax reform has been one of them, shutdown's been one of them. And so we haven't talked a lot about it. There is this problem that exists where the federal government takes your dollars, we drive them back to Washington, and somehow a lot of them get lost on the way back there. A lot. And then we lose more of them, And then we come back and say, we're going to give them back to you, some of them, but you must do this.
Right.
And let me give you a good parallel example, because I think it's really easy to understand and not so emotional. President Trump is proposing this infrastructure proposal right now where they help local governments with 20% of the funding. Well, here's the problem with that. As a mayor, I know that when I spend $1 of federal money, the cost of my project doubles. So in essence, what they're saying is, we'll give you 20% of the cost of the project with our money, the federal money, it's our money, right? But that's going to increase, it's going to double the cost of your project. So if you take that same thing over to education and say, look, we'll give you some of these dollars back, but you must do this with it. It's not how you would spend the dollars. And the problem is we've made you very dependent on the dollars coming from Washington. So when we threaten to say we're going to not do that anymore, everybody gets really nervous about that because you are dependent, right, on that system. So fundamentally, if you could go up that tree, if you had a magic wand, to me the answer is we never take the dollars to begin with. They're collected on a local and a state level, and then they're used according to what works best for Utah to come back. And we have a long ways to go before we can get there. Kind of what we want to do is we kind of want to say we still want to take the dollars, but now you go do what you want as a state, right, and figure it out, but you're not getting the dollars back. And we could, I'm guessing, I don't have any facts, but roughly we could double the dollars coming back to you if you didn't have this loss of the money going back there and then coming back.
Well, again, it's all about funding, and somehow education is one of the ones that seems to get cut, and all the cutting, and then now we have this issue of let's protect the schools and stuff, but then again, of course, that's an issue, but then I look back to, you know, the teachers and the children and educating them with quality education and teachers and and funding those buildings and those, I mean, of course, all of that is there and seems to, like you said, it's on the back burner now with all this other stuff.
I think that's one of the reasons.
I mean, would rather state control, right?
Yeah.
But how does that work?
Yeah, so we've got to stop taking it. And let this, but then you get a mechanism for the state to do that, and you would get a lot more dollars, and I think it would be better.
So what would your voice be then for Utah with that?
Stop taking the money.
And so would you get a bill together? Would you try to do that for?
Yes, now, but I'm going to come back to, I'm not sure if you were here when I answered his question is.
Yes.
And I'm probably a little defensive on this because I hardly do one of these town hall meetings, and I'm at 17 now, where 2 or 3 people don't have a bill they want me to, and they're all good.
Right.
Every one of them is good. And so, yes, that's a great idea. How I get there, I don't yet know, but it's a great idea.
Okay.
So.
I want to talk about immigration.
Okay.
We touched this a little bit when we came up once, but we only had about 2 minutes to talk about it, so I just wanted to bring it up again. My oldest child is 15 years old. He bought a truck when he was 12 with money he'd saved up from doing 4-H livestock. He, last month, got to where he now has $10,000 in his bank, and he has 19 credits of college finished towards his associate's degree. I feel like I'm doing okay as a parent.
That's pretty impressive.
Does he loan me some money?
I will. He has more money than me. I'm admitting publicly, obviously, with witnesses, again, a lot of the money that he earns has been during the day while he's technically not supposed to be working because he is part-time homeschool, part-time going to concurrent enrollment. I feel like it's beneficial for him to work. It's something he can do to prepare for his future without having to end up being one of those children in his mother's basement. And I feel like I can make those decisions with him. And I know you said you can't start new bills right now maybe because you're a little new and have too many things going on. But I'm just asking that if something comes your way as far as getting rid of those federal requirements that children, you know, we have to look at the fact that those are outdated laws, the child labor laws and things like that. They're outdated. They were meant for an entirely different purpose. I'd like to see more control put back into the hands of parents that can say, I know what's best for my kid. Your data and information and studies and everything else doesn't add up to what I look at my child and say, I know how to prepare him for this world, and I'd like to be able to do it freely. So anything that comes along those things, giving back some of that control to those parents that ask for your support.
Let me also tell you, when I say I'm too young to sponsor the bill or I get too much going on, I don't mean that. I mean, I want to sponsor all of this, right?
I know you can't walk out of these meetings with a list of 72 bills. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're not there yet.
Let me say this. If you have this hierarchy of good decisions in somebody's life, the federal government would be like way far away, and then you come state, and you come county, and then you come city, and then you come school district, and then you come house. The quality in my mind of those decisions improve every time you get closer to that kid. And the best decisions, I agree with you. There are some exceptions, and they're rare with fitness and abuse, things like that, where you do take that right away from parents, and you have to be somewhat sensitive to that. But I totally, as a mayor, I used to argue all the time to the state, let me do this, right? The state argues all the time to the federal government, let us do this. And as a mother, I get it. You let me do this because I know best. I've got a kid who's doing pretty darn well, thank you. So that's a great point. Did you say you don't want to talk about immigration?
Yeah, no, I was bringing up.
Let's talk about immigration.
That's too big for me.
Yeah, we've got about 5.
Okay, we'll do immigration and wrap up. Is everybody good with that? Hopefully we'll do a good job of answering your questions. As a federal government, we've tried to solve immigration for decades, and it's faltered every time. So this is extremely hard. I'm talking about sides and opinions and unwillingness to move. Immigration is laced with all of that. Things are changing, and there's a different wind back there, and there's a strong sense that now is the time, and we're going to do something good with immigration. Here again, I'm new, so I can't compare this to other times, but it feels really good to me. It feels sincere. It feels like there's genuine compromise, and not bad compromise. There's good compromise and bad compromise, and genuine good compromise out there. There are many people who have made commitments. I heard Speaker Ryan pound twice and said, we will fix that. And there are a lot of commitments that have been made on this. So I'm very hopeful in the short few weeks out ahead of us, and it may not be by March 5th, but I think it's coming to a head. And if it's not by March 5th, that we'll get some relief for the DACA kids on that date. I think you're going to see a bill, and I believe the House version of it will be more conservative, simply because that's the nature of the House. It will deal with DACA, it will deal with border security, it will deal with some very important issues that we're not talking about much. Some of those are our workers visa, our seasonal visas, our highly skilled visas, and things like that are also broken, but we don't talk about them as much. And I believe that we can get a bill out of the House. Like I say, it will be more conservative. It won't be a perfect bill. You'll probably find me supporting it because I want to move that bill forward as part of the process. I think you'll see a bill come out of the Senate that will be a more moderate bill. That's the nature of the Senate. And I hope people will support it, even if it's not everything they want. Because what we need is we get these two bills out of the House and out of the Senate, and they go to a conference, have to come up with a bill that's conservative enough for the House, and moderate enough for the Senate, moderate enough for the Senate, so that both houses, both bodies can pass it. And that's going to take a little magic, and but I kind of feel like the time is right, and I'm very hopeful that we can do that. So that's what I hope that you'll see in the next few weeks. If it breaks down, I don't know how we ever get back to this place again, where we can solve some of these really difficult issues.
Why can't they get that up or down vote just on adopted children?
Because it will fail. It will fail. And by the way, there is no such thing as an up and down vote. Because people say clean DACA. DACA is not clean. Is there a path included with it? You got to answer that question. Where do you stop on family relatives? You got to answer that question. And that's why I say it's not.
Well, the children that were here, the DACA children.
They want more than that.
Well,
See, we
that
did
can
that
be
30 years
taken.
ago.
Yeah.
We did that 30
And
years
so,
ago.
but the simplest answer to your question is it will not pass. People are saying, I will go for that if I get my border security. This is the compromise, right? The answer is there's no compromise in that. And so you've got to bring all these things together. Yes?
Do you think that the bill, or at least as what you're seeing formulated as a bill, is going to encourage people who are immigrants who maybe they're doctors, they want to come and help our country, or what other kinds of abilities they are qualified to come here for, that it'll encourage them to come? Because it seems to me a lot of talk, at least the few friends I have that are international, they have a fear of coming here, especially those who are of Latin American descent. There's this fear, and then not that the normal American people, I think all of us would, like, hey, you want to come here legally, you want to work here, we're all cool with that, but there's a fear because of the administration specifically that has kind of made hard.
Well, it overlap that fear that it's just impossible, right? It's just all but impossible to come. And I think what the bill will do, what my hope the bill will do, is it will marry the need we have in this country for immigrants with those who want to come to our country, who consider it a privilege to be in our country, who would pay taxes, who would contribute, who would be good members, whether they're coming for citizenship or just to work. And I think that there's this huge need and want and this huge pool, and we've got to figure out how to make that smoother.
Do you feel it might alleviate some of those people's fears?
I hope so. I hope so.
Are you talking about a merit system then, when you're talking about the...
That is part of President Trump's proposal. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what you'll see come out.
I would like to just make a statement that I am an immigrant, that I came as a child here, and probably my parents were nowhere near the merit system quality, but they produced incredible results with being here and with the next generation. They worked very hard. I do not think that a merit system is the answer to providing an innovative, creative country.
I'll tell you this, many of my peers, they use different words, but they feel like that we've got to make it so those who want to come to this country, who will be good residents and contributors, and here not so many of them want to come, and they don't want citizenship. They want to come and work and go home, because there's opportunities here that they don't have at home. Some do want citizenship. And so there is a lot of talk that's very positive about finding out how to do that.
And not making it a...
There's a lot of talk about both.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to have compromise, right? This is where people are going to say, I don't like that part of this bill. And if we all put forward these equations that can't be solved, we don't get immigration reform. Yeah.
We need to,
Thank you.
I had one positive comment.
I'll take that and then we'll
After
close.
seeing you in office for a few short weeks, I'd like to compliment you on your net neutrality thinking.
Yes.
And that you crossed, I mean, for being that young, I would have never imagined that you would have done that.
Thank you.
You and 17 other Republicans, or I don't know how many were, that actually looked at the bill and didn't just pass down their vote with the rest
I'll tell you
of us.
what, my biggest change on net neutrality came because of the town hall meeting,
Yep.
where I had 50 millennials really challenging the way I saw things and I thought about things. And so, right, as politicians, you have this fine line between, no, I'm going there to do what I think is best, and no, I'm going there to listen to my constituents.
And I appreciate, because there was a lot of effort put in prior to Obama, or that.
Well, we're not through net neutrality yet.
Yeah.
No, it's.
Well, keep it up.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. There's a lot of work.
Yes, thank you.
I actually enjoy these. There's been some differences of opinions, and that's okay, right? Troy would like me to once again remind you of several things. We're looking for people to become delegates at caucus. We're looking for people to sign a petition so that I can get on the ballot.
Yes.
Thanks for your time, and we'll absolutely do this again.